Hello friends, Atticus Girl here with my requested Breyerfest survival guide, new and updated for 2019. There is a lot of good information on Breyerfest online, but a lot has changed in the last few years that I think a new survival guide is needed. I was answering a lot of questions and DMs on Instagram about Breyerfest from first-timers, so I wanted to put together a video explaining some of the most requested topics and questions that I received. As a disclaimer, even though I did a fair amount of research for this video, I am not a Breyerfest expert. There are some things, such as the live shows, that I have never done before. Because I don't want to spread misinformation, I am not going to speak in length on these topics. There are a lot of resources on social media, YouTube, and the Breyer website that can help you answer your questions on these topics. Alright, without further ado, here's my 2019 survival guide. What is Breyerfest? Breyerfest started in 1990 and has evolved over time to incorporate all of the fun events that it is today. Breyerfest is held in July over a 3-day weekend. Breyerfest has a theme surrounding the event. This year, the theme is Salute to Horse Heroes. Breyerfest is always held in Lexington, Kentucky at the Kentucky Horse Park. Breyerfest activities at the Kentucky Horse Park are held on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There are some events that begin on Thursday, such as the Resin Fraternity Show and the Artisans Gallery. Most events begin on Friday, including the opening of the park, special run times, and the covered arena performances. Breyerfest weekend is the premier model horse event in the United States. While Breyerfest is occurring, Stone Horses also has their event, Equilocity, this weekend. This event is held at the Fairfield Inn in Lexington. In addition, the swap meet, Artisans Gallery, and room sales occur at the CLARION Inn in Lexington. Throughout this video, I hope to unpack how to make the most of Breyerfest and the CLARION. Alright, so you've heard about Breyerfest, and you decided you need to attend, but how do you get to go through these magical gates? There are 2 ways to gain admission into Breyerfest. You can purchase a 1-day ticket or a 3-day ticket. 3-day tickets are divided into child and adult tickets, depending on your age. Let's go into what is included with each type of ticket. 1-day tickets are exactly what they sound like. They give you admission to the park for 1 day of Breyerfest. You need to purchase the correct ticket for the day you attend. In your single-day ticket packet, you'll receive a paper wristband and a single-day model ticket. The wristband must be worn for admission into the park. Each day's wristbands are a different color, so make sure you purchase the correct day if you are using them as your admission into the park. The single-day model ticket allows you to get 1 single-day stablemate. Breyer advertises these models as gambler's choice. If you would like the full set of 4 stablemates, you need to purchase 4 single-day tickets. Each ticket costs $17. Here are the 4 single-day stablemates for 2019. Each model is based off of a previous year's Breyerfest raffle model. I am really looking forward to adding these mini-me's to my collection. Let's move on to Breyerfest 3-day tickets. If you want to experience Breyerfest all weekend, it is good to purchase a 3-day ticket. There are 2 types of 3-day tickets, a child's ticket and an adult ticket. The child ticket is for people who are between the ages of 6 and 12. Children under 6 are free but do not receive a model. A child's ticket costs $72 and comes with an admission wristband, celebration horse ticket, special run ticket, and show ticket. If you are over the age of 13, you need to purchase an adult ticket. The adult ticket costs $97 and comes with an admission wristband, special run ticket, celebration model ticket, and show ticket. The child's ticket and the adult ticket both come with the same extras, but the wristbands are different. The child's wristbands are red, and the adult's wristbands are yellow and orange. Let's unpack what each part of the 3-day ticket means. First, you receive an admission wristband. In past years, this has been an admission button. In 2018, they changed it to admission wristbands. This year, the wristbands are cloth and you can slide them on and off if you don't wish to wear them after you're done at the park. Admission wristbands must be worn all day while you're in the park. You get some special opportunities as 3-day ticket holders, which includes the ability to enter the model horse shows, sign up for workshops, enter the diorama contest, and participate in the live auction. Next is the celebration model ticket. This ticket allows you to pick up your celebration model. Each year, Breyer gives out a celebration model to commemorate the event. This year it is Oliver, the Kentucky Horse Park Mounted Police Horse. I will explain how and where to pick up your Oliver later in this video. The next part of your ticket packet is the Celebration of Horses ticket. This gets you admission into an evening of equine performances in the Alltech Arena. The Celebration of Horses performance starts at 6:30 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. If you chose the Friday night performance, your ticket will be blue. If you chose the Saturday night performance, your ticket will be red. You are not required to attend this performance, but it is a nice way to unwind with your family at the end of the day. The last part of your 3-day ticket packet is your special run ticket. These are very important. These tickets are for a certain day and time slot and have a number on the bottom. A special run ticket allows you the opportunity to purchase 2 different special runs. We will go into detail on how to use these tickets soon. Now that we've talked about how to get into Breyerfest, let's talk about the types of exclusive models you might be able to buy at the event. A large part of Breyerfest is the ability to purchase special run models only available at Breyerfest. There are many types of exclusive models, so let's jump on into them. The first kind of event model is called a ticket model. The term ticket model encompasses both the celebration horse and the single-day stablemates. The ticket model means a horse that you get for free with the purchase of an admission ticket. The ticket models for 2019 are displayed on the screen. To pick up your Oliver Celebration model, you need to visit one of the model handout locations in the park. New for 2019, there are 2 locations to pick up your Oliver. The first location is the Celebration Model Handout window. This has been the same location for several years. As you are walking up the ramp to the vendor area of the covered arena, the Celebration Model Handout will be on your right. The second location is in the Special Run tent. Since this is new this year, I do not have any specifics of location or how this is going to work. I hope to update you on this new location in the future. Some tips for getting your Celebration model. They should not sell out of Celebration models because they produce enough models for the amount of 3-day tickets they sell. There's usually a huge line to get the model on Friday. Don't feel like you must stand in that line. Come back later in the day or later in the weekend for a shorter line to get your Oliver. Single-day stablemate handout is located at the help tent outside of the covered arena. You can see where this is located by the question mark symbol on the event map. Like I stated previously, Breyer advertises these models as a gambler's choice, meaning you're not guaranteed to get the model you want if it is sold out for the day. If you have purchased a set of 4 tickets, Breyer is usually pretty good about giving you a whole set, but they are not obligated to give you 4 of the same model, especially if it's one of the more popular ones. They divide them up throughout the weekend so that there's a fair chance for those only coming on Sunday to get the model they want. Be respectful of the volunteers handing out models, and if they are sold out of the one you want, see if you can come back on another day to pick it up. Okay, on to my favorite part of Breyerfest, the special runs. Each year, Breyer releases 8 special runs for Breyerfest. Some themes they follow is 1 decorator special run, 1 non-equine animal special run, and 1 surprise horse special run. Special runs, abbreviated SR, are only available to be purchased by ticket holders with a special run ticket. There have been a few changes over the last few years that have made the special run process easy and much more comfortable. When I went to Breyerfest for the first time in 2010, the special run line was in the back of the Breyer store. In 2018, they moved the special run line to the J. Trump paddock to the left of the covered arena. The blue line is the path you will take to get to the special run tent. Last year, they had 2 huge tents, one for line formation and one for purchasing your special runs. Let's go through a couple guidelines that everyone needs to know to make your trip to the special run line successful. First, you must show up for your specific time slot on your specific day. You will not be able to use your ticket for any other time than what is shown on that ticket. For example, we are going to look at one of my tickets for this year. This special run ticket is for Friday, July 12th from 12 to 1 p.m. You should be at the special run tent 15 minutes before the start of your time. So I would need to be at the special run tent for this ticket at 11:45. You will wait to line up in the first tent with shade and misters. You are only allowed to purchase 2 special runs per ticket, and each special run needs to be different. You are not able to purchase 2 surprise horses with 1 ticket. Before you go into the line, you should have an idea of the 2 models you want to purchase, plus a few backups. In order to make it fair, Breyer limits the amount of each special run they set out for each time slot. That way, those who are lining up on Sunday at 1 p.m. have the same chance of getting the models they want as those lining up on Friday at 10 a.m. Once a special run is sold out for that time slot, you will not be able to purchase it. However, if you have another ticket, you have another chance to purchase the models you want. Each special run ticket has a number on it. This is important when you go to line up. For example, my ticket number is 194. When you go to your ticket time at 11:45, a Breyer employee is going to pick a number out of a hat. That number ticket becomes the front of the line. Continuing to use my ticket for an example, if the Breyer employee chooses number 150, I will be number 44 in line. Ticket number 150 will be the first in line, and then ticket numbers 151 to 500 will line up behind them. Once 500 is lined up, the line will begin again with ticket number 1, and go all the way to 149, who will be the last person in line. Here are a few more examples of ticket draws and how the line will look. People with numbers like 1, 50, 100, 150, etc. will be asked to hold signs so you can find where you are in line. Don't be afraid to ask people around you for their ticket numbers. Everyone is usually very friendly, and it's awesome to strike up conversations with other hobbyists around you. The lineup is always luck of the draw. I have had both really good places in line and really bad places in line. You will be able to buy something each time you go through the line, even if you are in the very back, but it might not be your first choice. If you don't end up getting the models you wanted, you can always try again on your next special run time. In this example, the Breyer employee drew ticket number 360. At the front of the line, in the upper corner of the tent, is ticket number 360. Behind him is every number up to 400, then to 450, and then to 500. Each of those square ticket holders will be holding a sign to help guide you in lining up. Then the ticket will start over again at number 1. All the way back until 359 at the very end of the line. As the special run line moves forward, you'll move over until it is your turn to go into the line to pick up your models. Here's our last example. The Breyer employee drew ticket number 172. So 172 would be in the front. Then they would go all the way back until 500, and then start again at 1, ending the line with number 171. They only set out a certain number of models for each ticket slot. So if you are in the back third of the line, the most popular models might be sold out. My prediction this year is that the most popular models will be the Surprise, Rocket, and Banner. Keep that in mind when you're going through your times. If you get a place up in the front of the line, if you want to buy a Surprise horse, that would be the time to do it. If you're in the back of the line, try and get your less popular models out of the way then. Moving on to the Breyer store. The Breyer store is located in the back of the covered arena where the equine performances and vendors are. To access the Breyer store, you will need to walk around the back of the covered arena and up a ramp into the store area, denoted by the green line on the map. Keep in mind that there's usually a line to get into the Breyer store, even though it might not always be super long. Last year, the line was under a huge covered tent where the blue star is next to the pop-up shop. The line is very organized and moves quickly as they let groups of about 50 people into the store at a time in order to prevent overcrowding. The Breyer store is open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day of Breyerfest. Usually there is a huge line in the morning, but you don't have to wait in that line to get into the store. You could always come back later in the day when the line is shorter. The store specials should be split up so that they are available throughout all 3 days, but if you really want them, you should probably line up earlier rather than later, as Breyer might sell out before you get into the line. Hopefully, they will restock throughout the day. Store specials are limited to one of each model per person per transaction, so if you want more than one of each store special, you will have to go through the line twice. The Breyer store also sells current regular runs, but they are not at any sort of discount. The Breyer store is great if you live show or are otherwise picky about your model's shading, because you will be able to handpick from lots and lots of models for the perfect one. The Breyer store also might sell past special runs if supplies allow for their issue cost. This brings us to my newfound hobby pet peeve, the misuse of the term ninja pit of death. The ninja pit of death, or NPOD, was a term that was coined by a hobbyist in the early 2010s. I'm going to explain a little about the history of the NPOD and explain why I believe this is a term we should leave in hobby history. Way back in the day, around 2009, Breyer used to put out special run models from events, past connoisseur models, and other special models for their issue cost in the Breyer store. These models were otherwise hard to obtain or were given at special events like the Velvet Rope event. Some notable finds are test models, sample models, the Velvet Rope event Burbank for $85, the WEG Chestnut Esprit, among other things. Once hobbyists caught on, they began lining up outside of the Kentucky Horse Park gates early in the morning on Friday to get into the line. 2013 was the height of the Ninja Pit of Death, when Breyer produced a cert saying, "I survived the NPOD." However, with such valuable models available, some hobbyists began acting inappropriately and began cutting in line, fighting, pushing, and causing havoc on the Breyer store. The time that people would line up became earlier and earlier until people were lining up outside of the Kentucky Horse Park gates at 10 a.m. or earlier on Thursday morning. It became so chaotic that the Kentucky Horse Park Mounted Police were asked to escort the line to the front gate, and people were even seen pushing past them and acting extremely inappropriately. Because of this, Breyer began reducing the amount of cool stuff being put out Friday morning, and tried to spread out when these items were being put out throughout the weekend. In addition, when the Ninja Pit of Death started, exclusive Breyers were not sold online like many of them are today. With the increase in online sales and the reduction of cool finds due to poor behavior, many people say waiting in line for the Ninja Pit of Death is not worth it. After about 11 a.m. on Friday, the madness of the Ninja Pit of Death is over, and you can go into the Breyer store without worrying about the presumed craziness of the NPOD. Vendors are another part of Breyerfest in the covered arena. There is a variety of different vendors that sell everything from models to artist resins to tack, while some vendors give out information about Breyer beneficiaries or guest horses. There is something for everyone in the vendors, but be aware that some of the vendors are overpriced, and you can find a better deal for models in the CLARION versus the vendors. Take your time to walk around the concourse and explore everything there is to offer from the Breyerfest vendors. Here is a map of the covered arena with the locations of the vendors. The full list of vendors is located in the Breyerfest program. The next place to buy exclusive Breyerfest models is the Hero Salute Shop. They are sometimes called pop-up tents or pop-up shops because they change name every year based on the Breyerfest theme. There are technically 3 this year, but one is only open during the Celebration of Horses evening performances. The models you can purchase at these shops are shown to the right. The shops this year are called the Courage Shop and the Bravery Shop. As with the store lines, they are usually long in the morning, but become shorter as the day goes on. But be aware that some models might sell out if you do not go early. Waiting in lines might not be fun, but sometimes it's worth it for the models. Even though a large part of Breyerfest is the models, there are a ton of fun activities to do while you're at the horse park. Here's a rundown of many, but not all, of the events at Breyerfest. The Celebration of Horses is an evening of equine entertainment. The tickets for these performances are included in your 3-day ticket packages, or you can choose to upgrade your single-day ticket to include a show ticket. This is a live show with a variety of equine performers showing off their talents. This show is in the Alltech Arena, and the Breyerfest shuttle loop will make stops at the arena to get you to the evening show. The next activity at the horse park is the Breyer Raffles. Raffles are held on Saturday and Sunday. Breyer raffles off 25 of each model. This year, the Saturday raffle horse is North Star, a glossy dapple gray duende. The Saturday raffle is at 4 p.m. in the covered arena. The Sunday raffle horses are Valor and Honor, an Appaloosa mare and foal set on the new Premier molds. The Sunday raffle is held at 2 p.m. in the covered arena. If you purchased early bird tickets before April 16th, you were automatically entered into the drawing for the early bird raffle model Cap. There are only 3 of him made. This occurs right before the Saturday raffle for North Star. You must be present to win the raffle, and the ticket needs your name and zip code. They may check ID to prove you are connected to the ticket, and you may only win 1 of each model. Tickets are $1 or 6 for $5. Raffle tickets are sold at the Breyer booth in the covered arena. Another way to get elusive or one-of-a-kind models is the Breyer Live auction. This year, the auction is on Saturday at 5:30 in the Hall of Champions. Breyer auctions off approximately 28 very limited or one-of-a-kind models. Models range from $800 to the most expensive auction model ever auctioned off, purchased at $13,500. The event is open to anyone who is a 3-day ticket holder, even if you aren't bidding. One last way to get one-of-a-kind models is through the silent auction lots. The lots are displayed at the Breyer booth in the covered arena. Auctions are open for bidding from 9 a.m. Friday to 12 p.m. Sunday, and winners must be present to claim their prize. Some silent auction lots this year include a full set of the Heroes Welcome Surprises, a Hero Surprise Test Decorator, custom contest prize models, and gift baskets donated by guest horses. Another Breyerfest event is the model horse shows. The open show is for people who are over the age of 16 and is held on Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. During this show, both overall champion and reserve prize models and glossy prize models are handed out. The two special prize models this year are Victory and Triumph. The Youth and Children's Show is held on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Glossy prize models are given out at this show. As I stated previously, I don't know much about the model horse shows because I've never done them, but there are many resources available on the Breyer website to answer your questions. The diorama contest is another activity that Breyer holds every year. The diorama theme changes based on the theme of Breyerfest. This year's theme is 30th Anniversary Parade, where participants are asked to create their favorite part of Breyerfest into a parade float. 5 winners from each age category will win a diorama contest prize model. Entries are due by Friday at the close of Breyerfest, and everyone can visit the dioramas to see all the cool setups in the Kentucky Horse Park Visitor Center. More information on how to enter the diorama contest can be found on Breyer's website. The last contest held at the park is the costume contest. This year, the costume contest will be held on Friday at 6 p.m. in the Alltech Arena before the Celebration of Horses show. Everyone who is at the Alltech Arena for the evening performance is invited to watch the costume contest. This year, the costumes are representing what a hero means to you. Winners from each category will receive a costume contest prize model, which is usually a glossy celebration horse. More info on how to enter can be found on Breyer's website. Another awesome part of Breyerfest is all the real horses. Breyer does a great job of bringing guest horses that showcase a variety of different breeds and disciplines. They also bring many real horses that inspire the models, such as Easy to Spot, Little Ricky Rocker, and Patrick the Mini Horse. Demonstrations from the guest horses will be going on all day in the covered arena. The specific schedule can be found in the Breyerfest program. You may also go meet the guest horses at the stables. You can see them, talk to their owners, and sometimes touch and pose for pictures with them. Remember horse etiquette when visiting the horses at the stables, which includes giving horses the right of way, refraining from sudden movements and loud noises, asking before petting the animals, and not feeding any treats unless they're given to you by the owner of that horse. This is the location of the stables and the tent where the signings occur. They only give out a specific number of autographs per horse to keep it on schedule, so make sure you're prepared by knowing what time the specific horse you want is up for autographs. Feel free to bring a signing model, that horse's portrait model, or a photo for the owners to sign. Another location in the Kentucky Horse Park that is full of fun events is the Celebration Park. This is located down a road to the right of the covered arena. The Celebration Park has many events such as pony rides, a petting zoo, circus acts, Civil War reenactors, super dogs and trapeze artists, and is where the kids' jump off will take place. Check out the Celebration Park for entertainment for the whole family. Another fun activity for the whole family is the Craft and Activity Tent. This tent is located near the guest horse stables and houses a variety of activities. The main one is stablemate painting. This is where you can paint your very own stablemate. It is limited to 1 model per person per day. Some other activities contained in the craft tent include face painting, jugglers, magic shows, and stilt walkers. The last Kentucky Horse Park event that I'm going to touch on in this video is the social media meet. In years past, there have been multiple meets for different social media platforms like Instagram and YouTube. This year, they are being combined into one meet sponsored by Breyer. This year, the meet is Saturday, July 13th from 1 to 2 p.m. behind the Collectors Club tent. Come meet your favorite Breyer social media influencers. There will be raffles, and you are free to donate something to the raffle. Proceeds will benefit old friends. Now that we've gone over a ton of information about Breyerfest at the Kentucky Horse Park, let's go over the other major part of Breyerfest, Breyerfest After Dark. First, let's go over a brief history of the Breyerfest After Dark events. The CLARION is the host hotel for Breyerfest. You will see it abbreviated as CHIN. It is located at 1950 Newtown Pike, about 10 minutes from the Kentucky Horse Park. This hotel used to be called the Holiday Inn North, which hobbyists abbreviated to HIN. The Choice Hotels franchise purchased the hotel in 2012, and it changed to the CLARION Hotel North, which then just changed the abbreviation to CHIN. The CLARION has 3 distinct events that I will go into detail about now. The first event at the CLARION is the Artisans Gallery. This is in one of the ballrooms on the first floor of the hotel. When you go in through the lobby, you will turn right down the hallway until you reach the ballrooms. The Artisans Gallery is a collection of hobby artists selling customs, resin, tack, and props. This is a great way to see the extensive artistry in the hobby and meet the artists behind your favorite paint jobs and resins. Some notable artists include Nikki Button, Studio Thornrose, Mel Miller Equine Art, and Karen Zorn, just to name a few. A full list of the artists showcased is located in the Breyerfest program. Breyer also has a table in the Artisans Gallery where they display Breyerfest special runs and other new models starting Thursday night. You will be able to see each special run model in person, besides the surprise horse, before the park opens on Friday morning. The Artisans Gallery hours are 7:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. The Best Customs contest has become a Breyerfest staple over the last few years. Hobby artists complete customs to enter in Breyer's contest in the areas of Best Finish Work, Most Extreme, Fantasy, Performance, and the special category that corresponds to each theme. The top 3 models that are chosen by judges will be on display for all to see at the Artisans Gallery. This is one of the coolest experiences in the Artisans Gallery, as you get to be up close and personal with some of the best artwork in the hobby. The next event held at the CLARION is the Swap Meet. The Swap Meet is held in the ballroom right next to the Artisans Gallery. The Swap Meet is Friday night beginning at 7:30 and lasting until 11 p.m. The Swap Meet is full of people selling models, tack, props, pony pouches, and anything else you can think of for model horses. People at the Swap Meet are most likely willing to bargain on top of their already good deals. You will probably have to wait in line for the Swap Meet as it is very popular, and they only let a certain number of people into the ballroom at a time to prevent overcrowding. Remember, this event is one night only, so make sure you visit the CHIN on Friday evening if you'd like to visit. Before I go any further, I want to touch on the CLARION map. The map you see on the screen is located in the Breyerfest app, now available for both Google and Apple devices. The CLARION is confusing, and you will get lost, but don't worry. Everyone gets lost at some point, and if you remember a few guidelines, you'll be able to turn yourself around. The biggest tip is to make sure you turn the same way when you're coming out of the rooms. Sometimes they all tend to look the same, and you don't want to backtrack through rooms you've already been in. Another tip is to remember that each upper floor is not connected. You must go up a different flights of stairs to reach the 600s, 400s, and 200s. There are also rooms with outside entrances on the first floor. Keep notes on your phone or in a notebook to make sure you don't leave anything behind. Room sales at the CLARION is probably the most exciting, fun, interesting part of Breyerfest to a lot of people. Everyone in the CLARION are usually Breyerfest attendees, and the majority of them open up their rooms to sell models, tack, decorations, etc. Anything you could think of, you can probably find in a room sale. They're definitely overwhelming your first time. I remember in 2010 when I went for the first time, the people selling that have been there for years, they could see the glazed look in my eyes, and multiple sellers commented that this was my first time. Like, they knew it. So don't be afraid. It's very intimidating at first. Just jump right in, use these tips I'm about to give you, and just go for it. Room sales are super fun, so let's jump into the etiquette. Here is some room sale etiquette to remember as you are shopping the chin. The number one rule is do not touch models without asking. A lot of sellers will have signs in their room saying please ask before touching. If you pick up a model without asking and you damage that model or any other in their room, you will be obligated to pay for it. It's better to ask than to have to pay for something you've broken. Another thing to remember is to remain calm in the hotel. It is super fun and exciting to look around for models that are on your want list, but the hotel does get very crowded, so remaining calm helps keep you from damaging other people's models or bumping into people in the hallways. Don't be afraid to bargain at the CLARION, but be reasonable. If a seller is selling a model for $100, don't ask if they will take $25. That's disrespectful to the seller. You can bargain a couple dollars off, or if you are purchasing more than one model from the same seller, you might ask to do a package deal between the two of them. If the seller declines your offer, be respectful and say thank you anyway, and try and find the model in a different room if it is still too much for you to pay. Another thing to remember is to not block doorways. The hotel does get very crowded, so make sure people coming in behind you are able to fit into the rooms. Everyone has the same goal in mind, to buy plastic ponies, so make sure you're being respectful of all the shoppers in the hotel as you're going through the hallways. Another thing is come back a few times. Inventory might change. I know a lot of people that are bringing hundreds of models to sell, and they won't be able to set them all out on Thursday night when they get there. So if you come back later in the weekend, you might get to see different models in the rooms. Be courteous of other people in the hotel, especially those who are staying there. Take advantage of the Breyerfest shuttles because parking at the hotel is very limited, and it should be first served to guests staying at the hotel. Make sure not to use any in-room bathrooms, and always ask before touching anything in the room. Another helpful tip is to get a map from the front desk or use the one on your phone. This will help you navigate through the rooms, and you can also write down notes if there's a room that you want to go back to. Some more room sale tips. The number one thing is to bring cash. Most sellers will only accept cash. Some will accept PayPal or Venmo for larger purchases, but cash also helps them be able to buy models that they want. Make sure you have enough cash for the models on your wish list. Another tip is to keep a notebook or a notes app of rooms you would like to revisit. If you see a model in a room and you don't know if you want it yet, but you want to go back to it in a little while, make sure you write it down. The CLARION does get very confusing, so it's better to write it down than to wander the halls aimlessly looking for the same room. You can look at the advertisements posted around the hotel to get an idea of what rooms are selling what kind of models, tack, props, etc. They will usually be posted in the hallways with painter's tape, so make sure you stop and look at them. Sometimes they post memes. They're very funny. I would recommend stopping and looking. Another tip is you may be able to find the model for a better deal later, but if you find a grail, you may want to purchase it then, as it might sell before you get back to the room. There's been times when I've seen models in rooms, and I say, oh, that's a little bit too expensive, a little bit more than I wanted to pay. Let's see if I can find another one. And I never did. So I went back to the room I originally saw that horse in, and it was sold. So even if it's $5 or $10 over what you wanted to pay, it might be better just to buy it then, so you have the horse, and then you won't regret it if the model sells later. Sometimes you can ask sellers to put a model on hold, but make sure that you tell the seller if you found the model somewhere else so they can put it back on the shelves for somebody else to buy. And the most important room sale tip is to have fun. CLARION shopping is one of the best parts of Breyerfest, so make sure that you're having fun. Here's a collection of other Breyerfest tips that I have used in the past or gotten requests to talk about in this video. I got a question that asked how to make the most of your experience. As a first-timer, Breyerfest can be very overwhelming, so make a schedule of what you would like to see and do. Pick out a couple of non-negotiables, like special run tickets or going to see a certain horse perform, and work everything else around there. Another thing to make the most of your experience is take lots of pictures. I did not nearly take enough pictures last year, and I'm regretting it now. So anytime you see anything cool, a cool model, a cool horse, just take a picture of it. You won't regret it later. Another thing is make sure you have your special run times down to ensure you won't miss it. If you miss your special run time because you are late, Breyer usually doesn't refund the ticket. So make sure that you have your special run times and you're at the 10-15 minutes prior to when your ticket time starts. If this is your first year, don't think you have to do it all. There's a lot of time over the 3 days to do a lot of things, but don't stress out that you have to do everything on Friday. Take your time to enjoy the park, whoever you're traveling with, and meeting new hobbyists. That's one of my favorite parts of Breyerfest. Another question I got is how to plan your money or stretch your money throughout the weekend. This is the method I use when I pay for things in cash. This year I'm paying for a lot of the store specials and special runs with a credit card, so this doesn't apply, but every year in the past I've only used cash, and this is how I counted it out. When the program is released, which it already is, you will have access to how much the special runs, store specials, and pop-up tent models are, and how many are made. So you can go through the program and circle or highlight the ones that you really want. So what I do is I count out money for each special run I would like to buy and set it aside. I always paperclip it together and write on a sticky note special runs. And then I count out money for each store special or pop-up tent store special I want to buy and set that aside in another paperclip labeled store specials. Then I take my remaining cash and divide it up between how many nights you would like to shop at the CLARION or use the money in the vendors during Breyerfest. So I usually go shopping at the CLARION Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so I would divide that up into 3 days, meaning that's the money I have to spend for that night. If I find a grail or something that's going to go a little bit over that money, I can take from the next night's pile, but that means I'll have a little less to spend the next night when I'm shopping around. So it just kind of keeps you in check with spending money, and so you don't feel the need to spend all your money on one day. And then to make sure that you have enough money for special runs and store specials and you don't spend it all at the CLARION. This is a collection of weather tips. So for those of you not local to Kentucky, Kentucky is hot and humid, and the heat can take a toll on you, especially if you're not used to it. So if you're coming from the north or from the southwest where it's drier, the humidity will really affect you. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water throughout the day and eating. Even though we might not think about eating helps our body use the water. So make sure that even if you're just snacking on nuts or fruits or granola bars, that's better than not eating. That'll prevent you guys from passing out in line or doing other activities around the park. Listen to your body and don't push yourself in the heat. A lot of people get really excited and they want to do everything, but it ends up being too much for them and then they get sick. So if you're not feeling well, sit down, get a cold drink of water, and find some shade or air conditioning. There's air conditioning in the visitor center in the Kentucky Horse Park. There's a gift shop. You get to see the dioramas, the live auction models, and there's a horse museum. So if you need a break from the heat, that's a great place to go spend a couple hours. And then lastly, wear cool clothes and comfortable shoes. There is a lot of walking. I've heard recommendations if you are bringing shoes, don't bring new shoes to break in because you will get blisters and then your feet will hurt. It's a lot of walking and it's a lot of standing in line. So just make sure you're wearing comfortable clothes that's keeping you cool and comfortable shoes so that way standing in line isn't miserable. I got a request on Instagram for haggling tips. So if you don't know what haggling means, it's another word for bargaining. I use a lot of haggling in the CLARION. When I'm a seller in the CLARION, I have the price on the tag of my horse, and it's usually my fiance in the room selling with me. He knows the minimum price that I would take for that horse, so he knows how far I'm willing to haggle, and most sellers have the same system. They know what their lowest offer is to take on their horse. So don't be afraid to haggle. Sellers at the CLARION are most likely willing to haggle on prices, but you have to be respectful and ask appropriately to get a good result. So the number one tip is don't lowball. If you have a model that's $20, don't ask if they can get it for $2. And if you have a model that's $300, don't ask if you can get it for $100. The sellers set their prices for a reason, and the best part, or one of the most interesting parts really about collecting model horses, is that the collector market controls the prices of the horses. So if somebody will pay $600 for a special run, that's how much everyone's going to sell theirs for, because somebody will pay that. So a lot of the higher end models are driven by what somebody will pay for them. So sellers are most likely to give discounts for multiple models purchased from them. So if you want 2 or 3, they're most likely to give you a group discount because they're moving inventory. They're more likely to give a discount on Saturday night because they don't want to pack their purchases back up to take home with them. They want them gone and into new collectors' hands. And they're also most likely to give discounts if you pay in cash. Again, like I said earlier, a lot of these sellers are also buying their own models so they can use that cash to purchase their stuff. Always be respectful if the seller declines your offer. Don't try and keep pushing them. They obviously have their prices set for a reason. Even though if you might think it's too high or you don't have that much money, just be respectful. Say thank you for the offer, but I will decline. Put the model back and try and find it somewhere else. Some things you can use is, would you take blank for this model? So if I wanted a Breyer Wyatt and it was priced at $200, you could ask, would you take $190 or would you take $185 for this model? Or you could say, I usually do this one, what is the lowest you would go? So last year I bought a Fletcher. It was priced at $75, and I said, what's the lowest you would go on Saturday night? And she said $60, so I ended up getting him for $60 instead of $75, which was a good bargain for me. I also got a question on Instagram of what to bring, so I divided that what to bring to the park and what to bring just to make sure you have at your hotel. So at the park, make sure you bring water, snacks, sunscreen, money for special runs or store specials or any other vendor purchases. A hat is helpful. Sunglasses are also helpful. Make sure you bring your signing model, your special run tickets, and a camera. So those are just some ideas of things to bring to the park. I usually keep either a backpack, or this year I bought a fanny pack because I'm volunteering to keep all of my stuff in. My fiance and I pack a cooler of snacks for lunch and water that we keep in the truck. So if we need to go take a break or put something in the car, we can grab a cold water and a snack. Other items to make sure you have at the hotel include a tote bag for the CLARION. A lot of CLARION sellers don't have bags or will not have bags to give out. So if you have your own tote bag with some bubble wrap inside, that would be really helpful, being able to carry your purchases around. Make sure you have bubble wrap or other packing material to bring your models home, especially if you're flying. I will be bringing pony pouches this year as a way to get my models home. If you buy horses from the park, they're usually either in a box or in bubble wrap already, so they're already packed well. But if you buy horses from the CLARION, you'll have to bubble wrap them yourself to get home. Another thing is comfortable shoes, comfortable clothes, enough socks. It might rain, so make sure you have enough socks if you have to change. And then wet feet also doesn't really help, even if they're just sweaty, so you can change your socks. And then bring an umbrella just in case. Usually we have one day during Breyerfest that a freak storm happens and it rains, so just be prepared for everything. Just a slide for some other random tips that I thought of. Pack a lunch to the park instead of standing in a long line to buy expensive park food. Breyer has done better with having options for people, especially if you have dietary restrictions. They've gotten a little bit better with that, than also having multiple places to go, but the lines are usually long and you're out in the sun waiting and the food's expensive. So in order to save time and money, I pack lunches to the park instead. If you need a break from the heat, like I said earlier, visit the Kentucky Horse Park Visitor Center for some air conditioning. You've got the diorama contest, the live auction models, the gift shop, and the horse museum in there. If you see someone with a service dog, remember that dog is on duty and should not be approached or touched. Some people bring their regular dogs to the Kentucky Horse Park. always ask for permission before approaching the dog. Even though it looks friendly, it might not be. It might be nervous or otherwise. So just exercise animal respect for both dogs and horses in the park. And then another tip is to talk to people online. Everyone is usually very friendly. I usually start off my conversation with, where are you guys from? How many Breyerfests have you been to? Or something like that. And then it just gets everyone talking. And it's super fun to meet other hobbyists. Some other tips is use the shuttles between the hotels and the park and the CLARION, as the CLARION parking lot is small and should mainly be used for guests. Last year they did a good job of parking people on the grass. There's also a Denny's parking lot, and the Marriott is right next to the Chin, so if you wanted to park there, I don't know the policy of towing, so make sure you look for signs of towing. But the shuttle runs from the Kentucky Horse Park to the CLARION until 11 p.m. and it also has a loop between the local hotels, the Fairfield, the Embassy, and a couple others. So I would suggest using the shuttle as much as possible to avoid parking congestion. Be mindful of keeping models in the car. Personally, I've never had a problem with this, but I do vent the windows a little bit, and we use a sunshade, so extreme heat can damage or warp models. You can put them in a cooler. Even if you just get a cheap styrofoam cooler, just the extra protection from the direct heat will help, even if they're not in ice or anything. Or use a sunshade so again, they're not in the direct heat of the sun. Another thing I didn't really touch on earlier is you cannot take bags into the special run tent or Breyer store. That means large backpacks, canvas bags with models inside, or like just shopping bags that you get. So there's 2 bag checks, one by the Breyer store and one by the special run line. I've heard that they've gotten better over the years. Breyer does a better job of making sure that you get your bag back when you put them in the bag check. I would only personally use that if I was the only one at Breyerfest. I did not have anybody else with me. But if you have a family member or friend that can hold your purchases that you've already made before you go into the store or the tent, that would help. Thank you guys so much for watching my Breyerfest 2019 survival guide. I hope you were able to learn something new. Follow me on Instagram at ITIQUETTE96. Always DM me if you have any more questions, and I can't wait to see you guys at Breyerfest in a few short weeks. See you later.